support the team, but they're not anticipating, at least for a couple more weeks, or at least a week and a half before she takes over full duties again as head coach.
And I'm sure she's trying to spend time with that precious baby of hers, but she's got to keep an eye on her other baby in the program of the Lady Bulldogs.
BYU in the blue, that's Broadhead who takes the first shot, and Patches Roberts gets the rebound. She's averaging a double-double here in the first 2 games of the season.
And Patches has done a great job. She's grown as she's transferred from Syracuse and done a great job each year as her minutes have increased.
Pulsifer in the corner. She is the Cougars' leading scorer.
And this BYU team is very experienced, very deep. And as you see Purcell right there take the jumper, she's the one that's going to be the catalyst for this team.
Haley gets it across the half-court line. Her pass intercepted by Broadhead. Nielsen, low block they go to Moody. Pulsifer misses the 3. Battle for the rebound, and a foul is going to be called on Haley Clark.
And BYU looks a little jittery, taking a couple of quick shots here in the early goings of the game, but I see them slowing down and settling down and getting better shots.
A year ago, BYU led the West Coast Conference in assist-to-turnover ratio. They were number 2 in the conference in scoring, field goal percentage, 3-point shooting, steals, and turnover margin.
And this is a very successful and talented team that is headed by a very successful coach, so I expect this to be a good game tonight.
Inbounds comes to Nielsen. Nielsen got fouled on the shot by Patches Roberts. And so Georgia's picked up 2 quick fouls here. Georgia has only 8 scholarship players. They cannot afford foul trouble.
Foul trouble is going to be a big thing. Staying healthy is also going to be a big key for this team. And right there on that foul, that's any coach's nightmare, fouling a jump shooter.
Pulsifer at the line. She's 12 for 12 this season. She was 11 for 11 in their opener, a 68-50 win at Utah Valley.
And if I was BYU, I would love to have her on the line. Free points are a good thing in my book.
So Pulsifer gives BYU the early lead. And a foul will be called on BYU away from the ball. This one's going to go against Jasmine Moody, the sophomore forward, number 33.
And I look for Georgia to attack going inside early. That's where their experience lies. That's where their talent lies. And I would hope to see them get a lot of touches early on in this game.
Haley Clark having trouble getting the ball in, finally does to Armbrister up top.
And Haley Clark taking on a big responsibility running the point guard position for this team. Hasn't had a lot of experience in the past, but has done a great job up until now.
Ingram loses the dribble, and here comes BYU. Backdoor cut to Broadhead, pardon me, and BYU has a 4-0 lead.
Great vision right there by Purcell, hitting the guard on the backdoor cut, and BYU looking very poised.
Two minutes in, Georgia still looking for their first point. Shot clock ticks down to 7. Haley Washington on the drive, and that's the first bucket for Georgia.
Great strong move there by Washington and a great finish at the basket. Good way to start for the Bulldogs. And this is a very good defensive team in the Georgia Bulldogs. They've led the conference in very large categories here in the SEC. And I look for this to be difficult times for BYU trying to score.
Patches Roberts just picked up her second personal foul.
And that's going to be a scary situation for the Bulldogs. Patches has done a great job, as I mentioned earlier, on both sides of the ball. And she really is going to be the key to this game.
So Patches Roberts comes out and Costa comes in. Inside they go to Moody as the Cougars beat the Georgia defense, and BYU has a 6-2 lead.
And that can't happen with these bigs and this talent inside for the Georgia Bulldogs. They have got to close down that middle.
Ingram has it swiped away by Pulsifer. Broadhead on the wing. Bounce pass to Broadhead, and she puts it in.
And BYU
Timeout called Georgia, I think. Nope. Just a delay of game call. Not a foul, but just a delay of game as the ball bounced away off of a BYU player.
And BYU giving Georgia a little bit of their own medicine. Forcing a turnover there, pushing the ball in transition, doing a great job making Haley make a decision on the transition play and getting a good shot.
Ingram lobs inside. It was knocked away by Moody.
And really impressed with this BYU team early on, giving great energy on the defensive end and pushing it very hard on the offensive.
Yeah, it appears to me, Christy, that BYU's just playing with more energy right now.
Most definitely. I think they have a few more bodies to spare, so when anybody gets tired, they have a fresh body to put in to keep the energy up. And this team is excited. They're excited on both ends of the floor.
5-second violation on Haley Clark. She nearly had one on a previous possession. This time the BYU defense forces Georgia into a 5-second inbounds violation. 6-point lead, BYU. And that'll be a turnover as the errant pass off the hands of Broadhead goes out of bounds.
And this Georgia team's got to take care of the ball and value each possession. Haley doing a great job at the point guard position. She needs to settle in and settle her team down a little.
They go inside. Kalia Robinson, assist from Washington.
And Kalia Robinson is going to be a star in this league in the SEC. She's a great post presence down there. Wasn't really pleased by Joni Taylor, not really pleased with her play early on, but looking for her to do big things.
Foul called on Purcell away from the ball. That's the first on her and the second team foul on the Cougars.
And Georgia looking a little shaky on their offense.
That was a forced three, I thought, by Kalia Robinson. Not necessary to take that shot right there.
Georgia hasn't been very great from the three-point line in these first two matchups. And like I said earlier, I look for them and would prefer for them to get the ball inside first.
Less than 16% from behind the three-point line in their first two games of the season. Pulsifer knocks down a two.
And this BYU team, they're very excited. Coming in here looking to end this non-conference home win streak for these Bulldogs.
Haley Clark off the back iron. Rebound controlled by Nielsen.
Again, the Bulldogs need to run their offense, get a few passes, and let the ball find the open man and not just take any jump shot.
Purcell lobs inside for Moody. Back out to Broadhead. And a 3-second violation on the Cougars.
And I thought the Lady Bulldogs did a great job with the double down, which forced the 3-second call, made her make an extra decision. Good defensive stand there.
Under 5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Costa working against Pulsifer, drives by her, missed the layup, rebound Moody.
And Georgia just can't seem to find any seams to fit in. All the shots they've taken early on seem to be forced.
Nielsen spin move, and she traveled. And we have our first timeout of the ball game. 2 points out of their 4.
And Haley Washington taking on a big role at point guard. Didn't see a lot of minutes early on in her career, and now is really the sole point guard for this team.
Jeff Judkins told us at shoot-around that rebounding would be a key for his team tonight, and they lead right now 6-2 in that category. Haley Washington misses the turnaround. Patches Roberts is back in the ball game. Georgia ends up with it. Kalia Robinson the miss, and a foul is going to be called on Georgia.
And Georgia needs to settle down, get comfortable, pass the ball around, get their offense flowing. Right now, they just look like they're hoping for a basket.
Haley Washington was called for the foul. That's the 4th team foul on the Lady Bulldogs 6 minutes into this game. Purcell working against Washington. And a traveling call on Moody.
And very interesting, Purcell out on the three-point line looking to get ball screens and take her post player defender off the dribble, which could vie well for them.
One substitution for BYU coming out of that timeout. Amanda Wayman in the ball game for Christine Nielsen. Backdoor cut, Patches Roberts stays with it and one.
And as I mentioned earlier, she's going to be the key to this team, getting them comfortable, getting their offense going, and scoring easy buckets as you see here. Great backdoor cut, little bobble of the ball, got the handle together and finished strong.
And more importantly, Kalani Purcell is called for the foul. She now has 2 personal fouls.
And those are 2 people to watch, both of them with 2 fouls, both of them the catalysts of their teams. And as long as they're on the floor, their teams are going to be successful. Whoever stays on the bench longer, I think that's going to be a key.
Broadhead the miss. Kalia Robinson the rebound for Georgia.
And boy, she's an amazing young talent. To be her size and to be able to pull the ball off the rim on a rebound and push it up the floor is a great asset.
Haley Washington the turnaround jumper. Washington now 2 for 4 to start the game. She leads Georgia with 4 of their 9.
And I think the way this Georgia Bulldog team gets their offense started is in transition. They love to run, and as you saw there, got something great out of it.
Yeah, Karen Lang told us at shoot-around one of their keys tonight was they wanted to get out and run and be able to post up before the BYU defense could get set.
I don't think this Bulldog team is a half-court offense team. I think that they are more comfortable in transition, and it showed there.
Off the hands of Moody and out of bounds, and Georgia will come down the floor with a chance to take their first lead of the game.
And I'd love to see the ball in Purcell's hands a little bit more, letting her be the one that runs the offense or gets stuff going towards the basket.
Haley Clark, the junior out of Orlando, brings the ball up the floor. She's averaging 9 points per game with 5 assists in the first 2 games. Cross court it goes to Costa. Costa splits the defense, missed the layup. Moody the rebound.
Great move right there. Just could not find the bucket to go down, but great move and split of the defense.
Purcell will take a 3 off the back iron. Chance to run out for Georgia. They don't have numbers, but Costa gets it to Kalia Robinson anyway and converts. Georgia has their first lead.
Great unselfish pass there by Costa and a great finish by Robinson. That's what Georgia does. That's their wheelhouse, and that's what's going to make them successful today.
Georgia up 1 with 90 seconds or thereabouts to play in the quarter. Away from the ball, 3-second violation. That's the second 3-second violation on the Cougars in this game.
And it seems as though this BYU team has gone a little dry right now. Georgia's starting to find their rhythm. And as you know, basketball's a game of runs, and it looks like it's going in Georgia's favor right now.
Georgia on a 7-0 run right now. Mackenzie Ingram, that's the first 3-pointer of the season for her. Georgia up 4.
And Mackenzie is a very talented player. We're speaking a lot about Patches Roberts, but Mackenzie Ingram's going to play a huge role in the success of Georgia this year.
She missed the final 15 games of her sophomore season with a medical condition, but she's healthy now.
And I'm sure that was scary for her. She was a little frustrated not being able to be out there with her teammates, but she's probably looking for a vengeance this year.
Pulsifer hits the first 3 for BYU. Ingram trailing, got the bounce.
And Georgia doing a good job in transition. Great decisions, unselfish passes, and finishing the shots most importantly.
Knocked out of bounds by Haley Clark.
And it looks as though Georgia's intensity has picked up here in the last few minutes as well on both sides of the ball.
3-point lead, Georgia. There's a difference of 1.4 seconds in the game clock and the shot clock to end the quarter.
Again,
Pulsifer trying to set a screen up at the top of the circle for Percival. And Kalia Robinson, stolen by Pulsifer with 2 seconds on the clock, fires off the mark, and that is the end of the quarter. But Georgia closes the quarter on a 12-3 run. Gets their first three-pointer. Been a while since Georgia won the SEC championship. 2000, their last of 7 SEC titles in program history.
And I actually was a part of that one. Kelly Miller hit a winning shot in Memphis, and we actually won the SEC tournament that year.
Matt Stewart along, Christy Thomas. Second quarter underway here at Stegman Coliseum. Georgia in the white, leading 16-13. Inside they go. Ingram shot it over the hoop, got her own miss. And then the ball ends up in the hands of the Cougars.
Georgia doing a better job of getting the ball inside, but has to finish at the rim.
Broadhouse on the dribble. Broadhead, pardon me, on the dribble. She scored 17 in their opener. Purcell with 8 on the shot clock. Wayman. And battle for the loose ball. Jump ball called. Possession arrow in favor of BYU.
And Georgia doing a great job mixing it up there with BYU. Just couldn't get a handle on that rebound.
Substitution for BYU, number 50, Michaela Hanks, for number 4, Amanda Wayment.
Number 50, Michaela Hanks, checks into the ball game for number 4, Amanda Wayment. Just underway in the second quarter. Georgia 3-point lead after falling behind early. Pass from Purcell, sails out of bounds.
And Purcell needs to settle down just a little bit. I think everybody is keyed in on her. Maybe if she gives the ball off just a little bit, that it'll come a little more naturally to her.
Haley Clark brings the ball up the floor. She helped lead Edgewater Orlando High School to the state championship back in her high school playing days. Purcell with the rebound.
McKenzie doing a great job getting position. Just would love to see her going towards the basket instead of fading away.
Pulsifer fouled on the three-point shot by Kalia Robinson.
And again, one of the deadly things is fouling a jump shooter, and especially Kalia that far away from the basket. Stay on your feet, make her close out to her, make her put the ball on the floor and make a more difficult shot.
Especially since Pulsifer is 13 for 13 on the season at the free throw line. And she gets 3 freebies right here. Chance to tie it.
And as you mentioned earlier, foul trouble a key aspect of this game for the Georgia Bulldogs, and they need to stay on the floor and hold their fouls until the end of the game.
Substitution for the Lady Dogs, number 24, Simone Costa, for number 1, Shanae Armbruster.
Simone Costa checks into the ball game for Georgia, and Shanae Armbruster comes out.
And Costa doing a great job. One of the things we haven't seen on this Bulldog team in a really long time are international players, and this year we have several, and they're doing a great job for this Bulldog team.
Another steal for the Cougars. They have 6 steals in this game.
Again, Georgia's got to value every possession. This is going to be a close game, and you don't want to be disappointed down the stretch when you've lost opportunities.
Wild shot by Pulsifer, but last touch by Georgia. Mackenzie Pulsifer scored 21 in their season opener with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals in 35 minutes.
And we talk a lot about Purcell doing a great job for this team, but they have other people on the floor that can score. She is not their leading scorer right now, but does a lot for that team. BYU's drop back into a zone, forcing Georgia to take those shots. We talked about their 3-point percentage earlier, trying to clog up that middle and make them take outside.
Roberts misses the 3-pointer. Georgia now 1 for 3 on threes in this game. Purcell feeds inside. Hanks wasn't ready for it.
Great pass by Purcell. Post players got to be ready, hands ready, especially from your post buddy. That's the one you should expect it from the most.
BYU fouls on number 23, Mackenzie Pulsifer. That's her
Pulsifer picks up her foul. That's going to be number 1 on her.
for Georgia, number 23, Haley Washington.
Only 4 points from the field, 6 from the free throw line. They have to keep her off the free throw line. She is money from that spot.
Yeah, 11 of her 21 in the opener came from the free throw line. She was only 4 of 11 shooting against Utah Valley, but 11 for 11 at the free throw line. That'll cover a multitude of sins, as they like to say, if you can hit those free throws.
Most definitely. I think from a point guard position, getting to the line is one of the things that you can do to help your team out, and especially when you're not having a great shooting night.
Ingram inside the arc. That's a 2 for Ingram. Mackenzie Ingram has 7.
And Mackenzie looks very confident in her jump shot, doing a great job tonight.
Broadhead whips it back out. Purcell way off the mark. Rebound, Moody sticks it in off the glass. First basket, second basket, pardon me, for Moody.
And BYU doing a great job on the offensive boards right there, looking for everything to come off and getting extra opportunities at the basket.
Tied at 18. Opening 3.5 minutes of the second quarter.
Might have gotten away with a little double dribble there, but Mackenzie takes advantage of it right there on the post up.
Ingram with 9 of Georgia's 20. Pulsifer, air ball. So she's 2 for 5 from the floor, but 5 of 5 from the line. This is kind of a familiar script for her.
Most definitely. Free throw line is where she makes her money. Needs to look to get her teammates involved a little bit and try to get easy baskets for Purcell. I think that's what's going to get her going, is if she can get a few easy buckets, not out on the perimeter.
She comes out, Nielsen goes in. So Georgia up 2 and back on offense.
And Costa being very versatile. She's taken over the point guard position now.
Bank shot for Washington. That gives her 6.
That's pretty impressive there by Washington, finishing over a double team right off the glass and in. Great job by Haley Washington.
Washington averaging 7 points in the first 2 games for Georgia this season. Another turnover there for BYU. That's going to be their 10th.
And Purcell looks a little frazzled here in the second quarter, having a few turnovers. Her teammates haven't caught balls that she's made good passes on.
And Christy, a lot of their turnovers, in fact, most of them have been unforced errors. Georgia has only 1 steal. A lot of them have just been bad passes.
Most definitely, and since Purcell can do a little bit of everything, I'd like to see her inside the post, instead receiving the pass instead of being the one making the pass.
Purcell with another rebound. She's got 3 of those, but still has yet to hit a shot from the floor. Nielsen likes to play up on her toes. Have you noticed this? She's always out, almost like she's going to leave her feet.
Exactly.
Broadhead nailed it. Cassie Broadhead with the shot.
Great penetration there, finding her teammates, trying to be a playmaker for this BYU team and get them back in control.
Georgia with a 1-point lead.
And BYU stays in the zone, hoping to clog up that middle and force Georgia to take outside shots.
Ingram for 3, barely grazed the iron. Georgia is 1 for 4 on their threes. And a timeout here in the second quarter. Compared to LeBron James when we spoke to him in shoot-around, comparable to LeBron James in that she can play every position on the floor and defend every position on the floor.
And no matter the comparison, those are big shoes to fill, whether we're talking about scoring or her versatility. That's a lot to live up to.
Traveling is the call on Nielsen, and that'll be the 11th turnover on BYU. And again, Georgia with only 1 steal. So BYU has been their own worst enemy here in the first half.
Most definitely, compounding that with a 7 for 20 shooting night so far this evening, that doesn't help the cause at all.
Clark on the drive, rebound Ingram. Goes back up with it and puts it in.
And a great drive by Haley Clark, doing a great job getting into the middle of that zone. McKenzie doing a great job getting offensive rebounding position and finishing.
Ingram now in double figures with 11. She's reached her per game average. The miss by Pulsifer.
We talked about Patches Roberts, and she's been a little quiet here this evening, but Mackenzie Ingram has done a great job early on in leading this Bulldog team.
And Christy, I think that Patches, having picked up 2 quick early fouls, maybe has tempered her game a little bit.
Most definitely. I know as a former player that when you pick up those 2 early fouls, you play a little timid because you're scared of getting that third because you know you will sit the rest of the half.
Armbruster got the rebound and gives it to Ingram, who hits her second three-pointer of the night, and she now has 14 of Georgia's 27.
With a little grin there. Mackenzie's amazing. She can do it from inside, outside, and is doing a great job leading this Bulldog team from the outside tonight.
Under 3 minutes to play in the half. Georgia up 6. Nielsen on the baseline. Rush shot. Moody got the rebound for BYU. Pulsifer. Rim out. Pulsifer has started the game 2 for 7.
Substitution for Georgia, number 4, Kalila Robinson, for number 23, Haley Washington.
And good rebounder position there by Armbruster, getting it back out to Mackenzie Ingram, and she's doing a great job knocking down that three-point shot.
And Mackenzie Ingram, again, totally healthy after missing the last 15 games of last season with a medical condition. But Karen Lang says where she may be lacking a little bit is keeping up with the pace of the game defensively.
Yeah, defensively at the collegiate level is a little difficult. Being able to be as versatile as she is on the offensive end, on the defensive end is going to be a task, but I'm sure she's up for the challenge.
Purcell brings it up the floor, fires it to the wing, and Broadhead threw it to Pulsifer, who was standing out of bounds. Another turnover, 12 now for BYU in the half.
And BYU needs to wake up a little bit. They're like you said earlier, having turnovers that the Bulldogs aren't forcing, just standing out of bounds right there. You have to play with a little more maturity and heads up.
Two minutes to play in the half. Pass from Clark, intercepted by Moody, ends up in the hands of Purcell. And now Nielsen brings it across for BYU.
BYU still struggling to find that rhythm offensively, trying to find the good shot and the easy basket.
They felt like they'd be able to outshoot Georgia tonight, but the Cougars are shooting 30% right now to Georgia's 44. Way off the mark, Nielsen.
I will say this BYU team is sharing the ball very well. They're moving the ball, trying to find that easy pass. They just can't seem to find the touch for that bucket.
BYU now in a 3-minute and 31-second scoring drought. Under 90 seconds to play in the half. Georgia up by 6 now. It's their largest lead. Haley Clark just inside the arc. Rebound Robinson. And a foul's going to be called on BYU.
Probably not the shot you want on a zone. Typically in a zone, you want to move it, pass the ball around, get the defense offset a little bit, and get the ball inside.
Broadhead called for the foul, her first, team second. Georgia 2-0 in the season, opened the campaign with a victory over South Carolina State on Friday night, then beat defending SoCon co-champ Mercer on Sunday.
And in that South Carolina State win, Georgia did a great job on the boards. Not as good tonight, but I look for them to rebound in the second half.
Under a minute to play in the half. Roberts puts it on the floor. There's contact. That's a blocking foul on BYU. Count the basket. And Roberts goes to the line for a chance at a three-point play.
And I held my breath a little bit there because I anticipated that they were going to call that a charge. Purcell just wasn't set, and that's 3 on her. And Patches Roberts did a great job.
Yeah, that was a high-stakes foul call right there. Either Roberts or Purcell ends up with their third personal foul with that whistle, and it was Purcell that did.
Most definitely, and maybe she can take this time to rebound, gather her thoughts, and come back in the second half.
Roberts completes the three-point play. 6 points for Patches Roberts. Georgia with their largest lead of the night, nearly double digits as we're in our final minute of the half.
Georgia going into the half on a good note. Probably pretty pleased with the way that they finished out this half.
Moody off the iron, rebound. Kalia Robinson, ahead it comes to Ingram. She beats everybody down the floor and gets the layup. Double-digit lead for Georgia.
And that's a great thing to have. That's post player to post player. That's no guard involvement right there. One big pulls it off the rim, the other is running the floor. Great job by Georgia.
Georgia has outscored BYU 28-11 since falling behind 10-4. Shot clock is off. BYU can play for the final shot. Broadhead down to 2 seconds. Inside, intercepted by Robinson, and that is the end of the half. So
Right.
Georgia with a very strong finish to the first half. After falling behind early, Georgia regroups and builds an 11-point lead at halftime. Big first half for Mackenzie Ingram. She goes for 16 points. Patches Roberts adds 6. Kalani Purcell held scoreless.
With the plus side on the rebounding margin and keep it moving.
Ingram whips it inside for Washington. An early quick basket for the Lady Bulldogs as they go up 13.
Great play coming out of that half. Post to post pass again. Anytime you get it from your post buddy, that should always be a plus.
Broadhead nearly lost it, got it out of there.
Not sure I really understand posting up a smaller guard. I would think they would try to get Purcell going with some early on easy buckets.
Moody in the corner hits the shot.
And both teams starting out with a made bucket, I'm sure feels pretty good to both of them. BYU needs to look to get a little more energy out there on the floor.
Haley Washington has hit the first 2 shots of the half for Georgia, and Washington now has 10.
Great start for Washington. Getting her started early and then adding Mackenzie is going to do great things for this Georgia team.
Washington has played 15 minutes already in this game. She averages only 17 minutes a game in the first 2 of the season. Foul is called on Armbrister. That's going to be number 1 on her.
Chasing her offensive player there, a little bump with the hips.
Broadhead whips it out. Moody hit a shot there just a few moments ago. And Roberts the rebound for Georgia. That's 3 boards for Patches Roberts tonight. They go with her 6 points.
And the second time BYU has posted number 20, their little guard, and looking to get some offense out of their bigs.
Haley Washington gives it back to Roberts and 1.
And great communication there. A little bit of an eye movement by Haley Washington initiating that backdoor cut, and a great pass and a great finish.
Georgia's opened up a 15-point lead.
And a little ball fake by Haley Washington to let Patches know, hey, Patches, go, you can get it.
Fails to convert the 3-point play, but Georgia up 15 now.
Little surprising. Honestly, BYU is a very, very talented team. A little cold here offensively, but Georgia's doing a great job.
Pass off the hands of Moody. Nielsen travels. 14th turnover for BYU.
And I was just about to say the turnovers are still plaguing them here in the early on of the second half.
You know, what happened to this BYU team, Christy? They jumped out to a 10-4 lead in this game, and we even commented that it looked like they were playing with more energy than Georgia in the early going.
And I think you said it right there with the energy. Their bench was up on their feet early on in this game, and right now they look a little flustered, and they don't have any energy, whether it be offensively or defensively.
Ball is stolen away by Washington. Actually, they're going to call it a tie-up, so it's going to belong to BYU.
Great heads-up play by Washington, just simply getting on the floor with the BYU player and tying it up, slowing down the transition. And BYU has to bring some energy about themselves, whether they get it from their bench and it infuses the girls on the floor, or they can get a stop on defense and make something happen in transition.
Purcell's shot was blocked by Washington. And Purcell has just not been able to get any offense going. Remember, this is a young lady that was the West Coast Conference Newcomer of the Year a year ago, averaging 12 points and 12 rebounds per game.
And I'm sure playing on an away floor has something to do with it. The long travel, maybe, but she needs to look to get something going to help out her team. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night for the BYU Cougars.
Yeah, Purcell's now 0 of 6 from the floor. She has 3 personal fouls and 5 turnovers.
And as a former player, I know if you can just get that first bucket to go, everything else seems like a little bit of a relief. So I'm sure she's waiting for that first one.
Armbrister couldn't hold on to the pass.
Georgia moving the ball well, but just couldn't hang on to it right there. Georgia doing a great job on defense, smothering their players. BYU can't really find an open man to get a good look at the basket.
Ball nearly intercepted by Ingram. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Are you a big fan of the fact they play Purcell out on the wing most of the time?
Not at all. I think she's a big body that can use her body and score and get inside buckets, but I'm not really impressed with BYU getting the ball inside at all. They've settled for outside jumpers, and in order to get your offense flowing, especially in an away arena, you want to get those easy layups first.
And offensive foul on Pulsifer, driving to the basket. And so Pulsifer just picked up her second personal foul. Nothing going right for BYU right now. They have yet to score in the half. Actually, they got 2 points in the half, and that's it. It's been 2 minutes and 27 seconds since they last scored. Nearly stolen by Pulsifer.
And that moving screen right there that they called the foul on would have given BYU that layup I'm talking about to get their offense rolling, but still keep shooting themselves in the foot and can't get anything positive to go for them right now.
Roberts on the drive, goes right through the defense and lays it in. She has 10.
And that was a great aggressive drive by Roberts there. Right-hand drive, putting the ball on the floor, getting to the middle of the lane, and right over the front of the rim.
Nielsen hits the three-pointer. That's the third three-pointer for BYU.
And I'm sure they feel really great about that shot and getting it to go down. But again, I really want to stress that they need to get the ball inside. That's going to put pressure on Georgia's defense, as well as open it up for them a little bit.
Back to Robinson, Kalia Robinson. She has 6.
And this Georgia team is rolling right now. They've settled into their offense. They're getting good, clean shots. They're not settling for jumpers. Doing a great job.
Costa nearly gets the steal, battle for it at half court. Jump ball, possession arrow, favors Georgia. Well, I guess it's going to be BYU's ball. I thought the last possession arrow favored BYU.
I think it did, but
I don't think they changed it, did they?
I don't think so either.
Number 4, Amanda Wayman. For number 33, Jasmine Moody.
You hit the nail on the head, Christy. This offense is really clicking right now. This is the best the offense has played in its first 3 games.
Most definitely. I was calling the South Carolina State game, and it didn't have the same flow. They looked very comfortable with each other, finding their spots in the offense and knocking down shots. Little confusion here on who's taking the ball out.
Felicia Grinter is over there at the scorer's table. I'm trying to figure out what the conversation. Oh, the clock says 5:99. That's the problem. There's no such thing as 5:99.
Not at all.
5:59.
Exactly.
Pulsifer, nope. I thought they might have called her for a travel, but instead it's going to be a foul inside on Haley Bodner-Rydalch.
And BYU again, they cannot get anything going. Offensive fouls, moving screens, turnovers, all the negative stuff, the things that you don't want to happen. Looks like BYU's trying to put a little pressure on the point guard, make things a little more difficult for the Georgia Bulldogs, but they seem to be not fazed by this.
Ingram with 5, her third three-pointer of the night. 19 for Mackenzie Ingram.
And Mackenzie getting it done. Got a few of the other Bulldogs started off early in this second half, and Mackenzie filling in right there with another 3.
Rydalch was fouled on her shot, and she'll go to the line.
Lady Dogs foul is on number 4, Kalaya Robinson. That's her second and the team's second.
And there you see Mackenzie posting, looking for position, and as the guard drives baseline, she pops out to fill the empty space. Costa does a great job of finding her behind the three-point line, and Mackenzie knocks it down. And on the other end, BYU finally doing what I've said all game long, getting the ball inside, and even though she missed the free throw right there, something good happened. A foul happened, and they got to the free throw line.
Rydalch, the sophomore center.
Just seems like there's a lid on the basket for BYU right now.
Georgia up a whopping 19 points. Costa on the drive, and she got fouled.
BYU foul is on number 20.
So Georgia rolling here in the second half. They've outscored the Cougars 13-6, and it started well right from the opening inbounds.
Here, I'm sure with only 8 healthy and eligible players on the roster right now, that this will be a great addition next season.
Costa at the free throw line, misses the first. In addition to those 4 incoming freshmen, all of them ranked top 15 in the country. Taja Cole, a transfer from Louisville, will also be eligible to join the Lady Bulldogs next season, as will 6'5" junior forward Bianca Blaneru from Washington State.
And all of those players will have a great impact on this Georgia Bulldog team. Losing a few players to graduation this year and having a great signing class like that, it's a bright future for the Lady Bulldogs.
Pass was stolen by Ingram. She's calling for the ball out on the wing. Patches Roberts tries to get it to her, and Roberts ends up on the deck. Foul's going to be called on BYU.
BYU foul is on number 4.
And the story of the night, another turnover for BYU, leading to a Lady Bulldog transition, which is what they do best. And I'm sure the BYU coaches stressing, take care of every possession, and game possession by possession is how we're going to get back in this game.
17 turnovers now for BYU, and the Lady Bulldogs have cashed in with 17 points. Meantime, Georgia has committed 9 turnovers, and the Cougars have gotten only 6 points out of that, and all 6 of those points came in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Like you said earlier, their energy is a lot different right now, and their defensive intensity has changed as the game has worn on, and I think that has led to this situation here.
Georgia on a 13-3 run over the last 4:37 and a 7-0 run over the last 1:43 as they've opened up a 21-point lead. Foul's going to be called on Georgia, and I believe Kalaya Robinson.
Georgia foul is on number 11, Patches Roberts.
No, on Patches Roberts. She picks up her 3rd.
And again, the 2 key players of the game playing against each other, picking up fouls, and again, another turnover for BYU.
Wow, I don't know that I've ever seen this many unforced turnovers where one team just threw the ball out of bounds.
I agree with you there, Matt. It looks like miscommunication. They don't look very comfortable with each other right now. The coach is starting to add a few more subs to see if he can find the answer to their problem, and basically they just need to take care of the ball.
Coach Judkins told us at shoot-around, when I asked him what he knew about his team one game into the season, he said, well, until the lights go on, you really don't know what to expect. Well, tonight's edition, after they got a big 18-point win at Utah Valley, tonight's edition just hasn't been very good in this road game.
Not at all. Maybe they were a little complacent and thought that they were going to come here and easily take this Georgia team, and Georgia defending their home court with a lot of pride tonight.
This is the second all-time meeting between these 2 teams as Costa's back at the line. They played last year during the Thanksgiving holiday at a tournament at Cal State Northridge, and Georgia beat them by 8 points.
And Georgia looking to keep that tradition going here tonight and doing a great job, and are very focused and taking care of the ball and taking care of each other.
Georgia up 23. They've nearly doubled BYU.
And I don't think anybody anticipated the margin of victory being this large right now. But BYU has to find a solution, if not for anything, for their morale going forward.
Purcell has it stolen away. Kalia Robinson comes up with the steal. That's just the third steal for the Lady Dogs tonight.
And they honestly haven't had to do much on the defensive end, as you mentioned earlier. So many unforced turnovers, and they're not a very smart foul by Purcell.
Kalani Purcell has picked up her 4th personal foul. They will keep her in the ball game, at least for right now.
And Purcell just not having a great night tonight. Can't seem to get anything to go her way, whether it be defensively or offensively.
Georgia up 25 on BYU. The Cougars have scored only 26. Ball ricochets off Luis Gonzalez, the official, and Georgia brings it ahead. Another turnover for BYU. Haley Clark and one.
And that just can't happen in transition. The most valuable part of the basketball game is the ball, and you must stop the player who has the ball in their hands. And right there, miscommunication, nobody seeing the ball and nobody picking her up and fouling as she makes the basket.
Wow, timeout called by BYU State.
Mackenzie doing a great job tonight. Talent runs in her family, also has a brother at Ole Miss playing tight end for them. And I look to see her in the pros in the very near future.
Yeah, Evan might be the #1 tight end in the entire country, might be the #1 tight end taken in the NFL draft.
And I mentioned against South Carolina State, 2 kids in the pros. I think that's an awesome achievement for the Ingram family, and I'm sure that they are very proud.
Pulsifer, ball off the hands of BYU. Pulsifer now 2 of 8 shooting and 1 of 7 on 3-pointers.
And the 2 or 3 main keys to this BYU team have not scored in this second half. And this is a team that scores 68 points a game, and right now in the third quarter they only have 26. So not sure what's really happening with this BYU team.
Purcell just fouled out.
BYU foul on number 32, Kalani Purcell, her 4th.
Oh, they said that was her 4th. I thought she was already at 4, unless they called a foul on somebody earlier in the ball game instead of her. But officially, that's 4 for her. Stephanie Paul in the ball game for the first time and shooting the free throws for Georgia. She's a freshman out of Naples, Florida, and you just saw her first collegiate point right there.
Great opportunity for Paul to get a feel of the game and understand what it's like to play collegiate basketball.
The earlier foul that we thought was on Purcell was given to Broadhead instead. Foul going to be called on Haley Clark right there, and that'll be her 2nd.
Haley being a little overly aggressive right there. She knew exactly what she did on defense to pick up that foul.
Georgia has outscored BYU 21-3 over the last 6.5 minutes.
And it's almost like the wheels have fallen off for BYU. They can't hold on to the ball. They can't seem to find a bucket. In a little bit of foul trouble here. Just not sure what the answer is for them.
Whistle and a foul on Georgia. I believe Haley Washington called for that foul. That'll be number 2 on her.
Looks like BYU's trying to get a little more aggressive, posting up more aggressively there on the inside, trying to get something going offensively.
BYU has now gone 4 minutes and 11 seconds without scoring. Shalay Salmon, freshman out of New Zealand, looking for her first collegiate point. Banked it in and got it.
And she's got great size, great body. Hopefully as she matures going further into her freshman year, she'll be able to give this BYU team a little more depth on the inside.
Rebound by Kalia Robinson. Ahead it comes to Costa. pass, nearly intercepted by Purcell and knocked out of bounds by Purcell. You know, Georgia would love in this type situation to, empty their bench and get some reserves action, but they don't have any.
Most definitely. I think they have 8 scholarship players with 1 walk-on able to play in this game tonight. But I like the fact that they can get their young players in, the ones that they do have, and give them a little experience and allow them to get a little more comfortable as the season goes on.
Kalia Robinson becomes the 4th Lady Bulldog to reach double figures. She now has 10. Washington has 10. Roberts has 12, and Ingram has 19.
As you mentioned earlier, this offense for the Georgia Bulldogs looks very comfortable, and I haven't seen it like this in a really long time, and pretty proud of how they're playing right now.
Georgia's shooting percentage has actually gone up as the game has gone on. That usually doesn't happen. 56% shooting now for Georgia, 22 out of 39 from the floor, while BYU is stuck at 30%, 9 for 30.
Most definitely, it's a unique phenomenon. Typically, as fatigue sets in and the game goes on, that percentages fall just a little bit. But Georgia doing a great job of full steam ahead and keeping the ball rolling.
8th point of the night for Cassie Broadhead. Back in her high school days in Glenville, New York, the folks around town used to refer to her as the female Jimmer Fredette.
Have a lot of comparisons on this team. Hopefully she can live up to that as the season wears on, but tonight not looking so good for the BYU Cougars.
She had her career high 17 in her first collegiate start last week against Utah Valley, and she now has 9 points here.
And I will say, this is a very unusual situation for this BYU team. They're very successful, very talented, and look to finish 2nd in their conference, so that speaks volumes about what they have in their expectations.
Tight defense, and a foul is going to be called on BYU. This will be on Jessica Chapman.
BYU with the opportunity to give a few players the chance to play as well.
Well, down nearly 30 points, Jeff Judkins has decided to bring in some of the reserves. Let's give some of these youngsters a chance to play. He's got 4 freshmen on his roster. Chase, Chapman. So 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them are on the floor right now.
This BYU team very different than the Georgia team. They have what looks like an army sitting on the bench to Georgia's depleted bench. And the opportunity to play for them as well is great for these young players.
That'll change next year when Georgia gets their 4 freshmen in, plus Taja Cole, we mentioned earlier.
And I'm sure big things expected from freshmen. There's a big difference between high school basketball and collegiate basketball, and finding that rhythm and cohesiveness amongst all those players is going to be a challenge, but I'm sure that they're up for the task.
Chapman misses the free throw. Chapman scored 2 points in 6 minutes of play versus Utah Valley in their season opener. Purcell the rebound.
Georgia needs to box out right there on the free throw line. Those are the little things that are going to matter, especially come conference play time. Can't have that happen. And those are the things that happen in games like this when the margin is so wide.
Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Georgia has outscored BYU 26-8 in the quarter to blow this game open. Purcell off back iron. She's now 0 for 7 in the game.
And Purcell just can't seem to get anything going. I know she's really frustrated as a former player. I can understand her plight tonight, but she's got to keep her teammates positive and keep things moving in the right direction.
Does grab her 6th rebound of the game right there, ahead to Chapman. Chapman had her shot blocked by Kalia Robinson. They call a jump ball, so Georgia gets it with 20 seconds to play in the half.
Great body control there by Kalia Robinson. Did a great job of not fouling, keeping the contact of her body away from the offensive player, and was able to get the jump ball.
4 steals for Kalia Robinson tonight, and now a block to go with it. 3 seconds to play in the quarter. Stephanie Paul banks it in for her first collegiate bucket at the Horn. Georgia blows out BYU in the half. 28-8, Georgia outscores the Cougars in the third quarter. Stephanie Paul with her first collegiate.
A complete game on both ends of the floor.
Patches Roberts with 12 points. Haley Washington with 10, and Armbruster is yet to score. Those are the 3 seniors on the floor for Georgia tonight. Stolen by Paul. And Paul gets her second bucket. Back-to-back buckets from the freshman Stephanie Paul.
And her teammates on the sideline are really excited for her. And you love to see that in college basketball, that your teammates on the bench are just as excited as you are on the floor.
Freshman out of Naples, Florida, in community school. Getting a chance to shine here late in this ball game.
You've got to love that. Understandably, that the scoring margin is quite large and she gets the opportunity to play, but as a freshman, that doesn't matter.
Haley Washington inside, and she now has 12. Georgia beating up BYU points in the paint.
Most definitely taking advantage of that size and experience down low.
Georgia with a 26-8 advantage points in the paint in this ball game. Broadhead with the basket, and now she is their leading scorer. She has 11.
And she seems to be the little bit of light that this BYU team has. Everybody else kind of sad and sullen over there on the sideline. Not much energy, as we mentioned before, but just needs to keep it positive. This is one game in a very long season.
Paul forces it up that time, and it didn't go out of bounds. It's saved by BYU. Pulsifer ahead of the field, lays it in.
Great run by Pulsifer and a great find by Purcell on the fast break.
Just the 4th fast break point of the night for the Cougars.
And early on, they were doing a great job giving Georgia exactly who they are and running in transition, but it slowed down as of late.
Paul gonna shoot. Wow, Paul starting to put on a show. Stephanie Paul has hit 3 of her last 4 shots.
And like I mentioned earlier, one bucket can open it up. It looks like the goal looks like the ocean for Paul right now.
She's been compared to Shakobia Barbie early in her career. Got a long way to go to be Shakobia Barbie, but you can see the athleticism, and she's got a nice stroke too.
Most definitely. Those are big shoes to fill. Shakobia did great things and a lot of things for this Georgia team. Led them in rebounding from the guard position, was one of the leading scorers on the team, second last year, and did a great job for the Lady Bulldogs and got drafted. So those are big shoes to fill for Paul, but I look forward to seeing her maturation as we go along.
They might start calling her the microwave. She has 9 points in 5 minutes.
The microwave, that's another large size shoe to fill right there.
Georgia leading this one 67-35 here, 7:40 to play.
And Georgia just look like they're having fun out there, doing what they do best, getting the ball inside, running in transition, whereas the exact opposite for BYU. They can't seem to get anything going, and Georgia's having fun, and BYU just looks like they're just out there.
Haley Washington playing with a lot of physicality tonight. She has 14 points, Broadhead and 1.
As I mentioned earlier, Broadhead, the little glimmer of light that BYU has right now, doing a great job trying to pull her teammates out of this funk. And she does a great job. I questioned earlier being able to post a guard, and right there, posting on Armbruster, who has better size or more size than she has, and did a great job with the finish on the foul.
So Broadhead completes the 3-point play. She's their leading scorer tonight. She has 14.
And she picks up a steal right there, doing a great job trying to get this BYU offense and team inspired.
Pulsifer behind the arc. Rebound Moody, shot blocked, but a foul called on Washington, and that'll be number 3 on her.
Not a great foul by Washington. She got the offensive rebound. Just body her up, hand straight up, and make her make a tough shot. Again, you see she was a little late getting there. Just put your hands up, kind of distract her. Don't give her the silly foul.
Moody, 6 points on the night, 6 rebounds, now 7 after hitting that free throw. And that's one of the areas that Coach Judkins, looking ahead to the season, feels like they've got to get more offense out of their number 5 spot that Moody starts in order for them to be as successful as they were, if not more so, than a year ago.
Most definitely. I mentioned that earlier, that BYU wasn't really looking to get the ball inside to anyone. And then when they started, it started looking to go to a guard on the inside. So getting those post players involved early will open up that outside for them.
Timeout called by Georgia. Haley Washington goes to the bench. This is one of the better all-around games of her career. She had a career-high 17 against Florida a year ago. She's got 14 tonight. She's
struggling to find an answer for this Bulldog defense.
She went for 14 last year in BYU's 8-point loss to Georgia. So back-to-back 14-point performances for Broadhead against the Lady Bulldogs.
And Kalaya making a mistake right there. You always fake a pass to make a pass, and you never want to leave your feet when passing, especially in the open court like that.
So a foul was called on BYU, and Georgia will inbounds with 6:57 to play in the game.
Georgia looking a little confused on their offense, resetting right here.
The foul, by the way, was on Moody. Georgia in a trap out there, and Roberts gets rid of it.
BYU looking a little more aggressive defensively out there.
5 seconds. Ingram didn't get the bounce this time. Purcell couldn't hold on to the rebound. Armbrister got it back. Fresh 30 for the Lady Bulldogs.
Great position there by Armbrister, fighting for that rebound against 2 BYU Cougars and giving her team the opportunity for another chance at a bucket.
Ingram had it knocked away by Pulsifer. 16 on the shot clock for the Lady Bulldogs, who lead by 29.
Lady Bulldogs doing a great job in all facets of the game right now.
Try to backdoor to Robinson. She was able to get it, but not get the basket. Down to 10 on the clock. Clark, shot blocked. Armbrister with her first basket of the ball game.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Ball falls into her hands and she finishes right there.
Nielsen, shot blocked by Ingram. Ingram called for the foul, however. That'll be number 1 on her.
And that's one thing the Bulldogs don't want to do right now, is put the BYU Cougars on the free throw line for free points while the clock is stopped.
Both teams are 11 of 16 at the foul line tonight. Nielsen, only 3 points tonight. She's now 0 for 1 at the foul line. And Judkins says that Nielsen's a player. She's a first-year starter, although she's a senior. They'll probably need to get 8 to 10 points out of her per night in order to be successful.
And I'm sure not very many of these BYU Cougars are happy with the performance tonight, but got to look at everything from the positive aspect and try to get anything good to come out of it.
Roberts driving to the coast and then dishes off in the corner. Robinson the missed, Armbrister the rebound, and a triple team had it stolen. Broadhead had it stolen. Robinson, and now Georgia will pull it out and set the offense.
Armbrister doing a great job on the boards, fighting in there against multiple players, doing a great job.
Ingram, lob inside for Robinson. Moody ends up with the rebound. 8 boards for Moody to go along with her 8 points. And Broadhead, aggressive to the basket, draws the foul, will go to the line. Foul's going to be called on Roberts.
And again, Georgia fouling and putting BYU on the line. Not really what they want to do here late in the 4th quarter.
4 personal fouls now on Patches Roberts. Broadhead 4 for 4 at the foul line. BYU 13 of 19. Catch the big showdown, Florida at LSU Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern on SEC Network, as the Gators try to clinch the SEC Eastern Division and a spot against Alabama in the SEC Championship game at the Georgia Dome. Loss by Florida, of course, would open the door for Tennessee to still have a shot at the Eastern title.
Sure, Rocky Top Nation is praying for that loss from Florida.
Of course, that game was originally scheduled to be played in Gainesville before the hurricane. And the reschedule of that game ended up being in Baton Rouge this weekend. Mackenzie Ingram's going to go to the line for a chance to get a new career high. She's at 19 right now.
The game slowing down on both sides with fouls here. Looking to keep the game flowing. You don't want to get into this back and forth on the free throw line.
Broadhead called for the foul. She has 4. Ingram has tied her career high. She now has 20 with her first free throw of the night.
Got a little bit of a shooter's roll there. Got to love that on a night like this for Mackenzie.
She's had great touch tonight.
She truly has, getting it done from everywhere on the floor, inside, outside, behind the three-point line, from the free throw line, as we see there, her finishing the second of her 2. Just looking really nice tonight.
New career high, and Mackenzie Ingram with 21 tonight on 8 of 12 shooting from the floor. 3 of 4 behind the three-point line to go along with 4 rebounds in 26 minutes of play.
If the Bulldogs can look like this all season long, I think they're going to shock a few people and maybe better that 10th expected finish.
3 on the clock. Moody right alts, and that's a shot clock violation. They never could get the ball into a shooter's hands.
BYU looking really frustrated right now. Just can't seem to find anything that they like.
Michaela Hanks checks into the ball game for BYU, and so does Liz Eaton. So the only starter remaining on the floor for BYU is Broadhead.
Hopefully these young players can get a little bit of experience, spark their team a little bit, get some enthusiasm on the floor and on the bench, and end this quarter well.
3-second violation on Georgia. And now Chapman is going to come in for Broadhead as Coach Judkins has gotten his deeper reserves into the ball game. So you have Chapman, a freshman, in the ball game, Chase, a freshman, Rydalch, a redshirt sophomore and a transfer from Purdue, Hanks, a sophomore, and Eaton, a freshman. So 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores on the floor for BYU.
And I don't want to speak up too early, but this could get a little ugly. Typically when freshmen get out there together, they're a little jittery, a little of the inexperience shows. And hopefully these freshmen can learn something tonight.
Well, that was one of the things when I talked to Coach Judkins in shoot around. I said, well, how does this team get better or at least be as good as it was a year ago? And he said, well, we've got to get some of these young players experience. I'm sure he wasn't thinking in a 30-point loss to Georgia tonight, but that's the case.
I can't imagine that that's what he was thinking was going to happen tonight either, but bright spots, freshmen getting a little bit of getting a little bit of playing time and hoping to gain some experience as they move along.
That was Hanks with the basket for BYU. They've been outscored 41-24 here in the second half.
And you almost don't know if this was because Georgia played so well or if it was just BYU shooting themselves in the foot and turning the ball over so much.
Well, I think a combination. I think BYU mistakes kind of fueled Georgia's confidence on offense. Lady Bulldogs still over 50% shooting for the game. They shot over 50% just once all of last season. That was against Georgia Tech.
And these BYU freshmen do not look phased. They look very confident and very poised as they knock down the last 2 possessions and looking to be a positive spot for this team.
Ingram. Rebound Washington, got fouled by Hanks.
And no box out there on Haley Washington, doing a great job on the boards. And as you mentioned earlier, this is one of the focuses for this BYU team is to try to out-rebound the Bulldogs. And they were doing a great job early on, but as the game has progressed, their intensity has fallen.
First foul on Hanks. Armbrister comes into the ball game, and Haley Clark goes out. Inbounds to Armbruster, nicely executed on the inbounds pass from Costa, and Armbruster goes to the line for a chance at the three-point play.
As you said, great execution on that out-of-bounds play right there. And anytime that you can get points on an out-of-bounds play, that is a definite plus.
Three-point play for Armbruster. She now has 5. Georgia up 76-47.
And wow, who would have thought? I thought this was going to go down to the wire, that this was going to be a game of possessions. But Georgia did a great job of taking advantage of those unforced turnovers, and the margin is what it is now because of that.
Ingram races up the floor for Georgia. Haley Washington bowls her way to the basket, and Haley has 16.
And she wanted that ball. She told Mackenzie, give it to me, I got it, and she finished. Great move right there by Haley Washington.
So she's just 1 point away from matching her career high. We've already seen Ingram go for a career high tonight.
A lot of positives for this Bulldog team tonight.
Costa, the transfer from Lisbon, Portugal, by way of Independence Community College, running the point now. And Brenna Chase, the freshman, falls down, commits the foul.
The Lady Dogs are now in the bonus. Shooting 2 for Georgia, number 24, Simone Costa.
So Simone Costa will be at the line shooting 2.
Costa has done a great job filling in at point guard, being on the wing. She's been a very versatile player and doing great things.
Costa does not get the luck on the free throw right there. She has 2 tonight, now 2 of 5 at the foul line with 5 assists. And Ari Henderson, the walk-on for Georgia, comes in, and Armbruster comes out.
The Georgia native getting a chance to wear this Bulldog uniform and get a few minutes in. I know she's happy, and her teammates are excited for her.
Chase hits the runner.
And again, these freshmen for BYU doing a great job. As I said earlier, didn't want to speak up too soon, but they finished on all their shots and ran their offense very well.
Haley Washington drives to the basket. Reverse layup was blocked.
1 minute remaining.
And Chase hits a second consecutive shot.
Great job by Chase. Got the turnover there off the block shot, pushed the ball in transition, and pulled up right up under the free throw line. Great, great shot.
Final possession likely for Georgia. Goes inside to Paul. She puts it in.
And Paul having a great night as well, taking advantage of her minutes on the floor tonight, finishing there with a great strong move.
Eaton the drive, the miss. Henderson has the ball for Georgia and brings it across.
Looks like her leg gave out a little bit on her right there and couldn't finish that layup.
Henderson had her layup blocked. Chapman the drive. And Haley Washington with the rebound for Georgia, and Georgia can play out the clock.
Henderson looked a little disappointed. She leaked out a little bit looking for the long pass and was unable to get it.
Georgia, an 81-51 victory over BYU. Certainly didn't expect the blowout, but Georgia's now won 59 consecutive home non-conference games.
Very impressive winning streak. These